Climbers, if you want to find out one of the ways that I got 400 people to show up at a live show for an artist in a market that he'd never played before, wasn't on the radio, never even been to the town, listen on. It's all about audiences. Welcome to the climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you succeed in the music industry, get leverage in the music industry, because that's what you're going to need to get ahead. You're going to need to be doing something for them before they do something for you. That's what leverage is. You're going to have something on them, something that they want. And it's not going to be your potential talent. It's going to be some way that you're going to just fold right into everything and immediately add value. That means you're going to have traffic. That means you're going to have publishing, songs, recorded demos, stuff to prove your value, to prove that not only do you have good art, but it's worth something in the marketplace and people are aware of it. That's why we called it the C.L.I.M.B, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a backronym for my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Got a couple number ones in Southern Gospel last year and still pushing on and making miracles happen. And he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro. And then on the regular, he's going to complete the last piece of the puzzle, the last link in that chain, which is taking all of that wealth of knowledge and then executing it with relationships, which is what you need. He's going to introduce you to the pros. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Yeah, it sounds complicated, but thankfully, Johnny is quite smart. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D. Hello, brother.
What's up? Happy birthday, my brother.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to keep
Hey, shawty, it's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna sip a Bacardi like it's your birthday. And we don't give a rip. It's not your birthday, but it is your birthday.
But it is my birthday, and so what I'm doing on my birthday is taking care of sick family members. Got a bug going through my house, and so I'm taking care of in-laws and kids and wife, and that's how I'm spending my birthday. Yeehaw.
Right on. Well, in today's show, I actually had done this show prep for one of my artists where we're just kind of talking about practical application of the stuff that Daredevil does. And it wasn't one of my artists, it was an intern, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And the intern was like, well, if I had an artist and I brought that artist to you, what would you do to break my artist?
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, what's the strategy? What's the initial sort of strategy?
Yeah.
And so we went down the conversation. I thought, well, that might make a good episode, like just to kind of put it in, like what goes through our head, what's the math that I'm doing to put something together. Because ultimately, I usually end up having to sell that to the artist because it's like not radio. Yeah,
right. It's not what they're used to.
You're not gonna put me on MTV? No, they don't even do music anymore. Oh,
yeah,
right. But there's something like MTV.com. Like, no, step away. And so, by the way, that always freaks me the F out. And I was like, well, CMT.com. I'm like,
what?
No.
Yeah.
CMT.com. They're only going there to find you if they know who you are.
Exactly.
CMT.com is a distribution service. CMT, when millions of people were watching it, was a big launch pad. You know what I mean? But not CMT.com is not. But so that's what we're going to dig into. And when I went down that, I actually got to the part about choosing audiences. And I thought, you know what? This will be a good episode too. I think there's enough there just to talk about audiences. And so hot take, I think this will be one of my shorter episodes, but every time I say that, it's one of my longer ones.
Right, yeah.
But I need it to be shorter because I still got like laundry to do and crap to pack because I'm leaving tonight for Denmark, baby. Come on, for the Nashville Nights International Songwriters Festival. And we're going to be the correspondent to American Songwriter Magazine over there and get tons and tons of content, which is super cool. So that leads us into taking care of the business part of this.
That's
We're
right.
super stoked to be a part of American Songwriter Magazine's podcast network. This is a 36-year-old brand name, guys. Like all your favorite people, if you are an indie artist or a songwriter or both, this magazine, you love it. It's you get hard copies now still and digital stuff, but there's 14 other shows at least on that
Hmm.
podcast network. So if you've been a long time climber, go check out those other shows. And if you discovered us on the American Songwriter Podcast Network, and welcome to the climb. We'd love to
That's
have you
right.
here. Uh, join the Climb community. That's facebook.com/the Climb community. This is a thriving community. There's lots of activity going on. It's all indie artists, singers, songwriters. There's songwriting connections being made, co-writes being made. There's promotion ideas being passed. Hey, I tried this, I tried that. This worked, this worked. Boom, boom, boom. We give you a chance to talk about your gigs. We put it in a certain place, so make sure you put your stuff in its place. We give you a chance to talk about your wins. Like, hey, what's happening right now? Every
Hmm.
Wednesday we have the new heights, and that's
That's
where
right.
people can talk about their wins. And uh, this is not the kind of Facebook group that is nothing but tumbleweeds and all that kind of stuff. So you got to ask to be let in, but we let everybody in. And so, what, by the way, and we do it like in groups. So I think we probably do it like twice a week where we just sort of, bring everybody in. So, don't be discouraged if you ask to be let in. It takes a couple days before we get back to you. We're not big timing you. I promise.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
when
right.
we get around to but it's a regular thing. You'll get in for sure. Now we got some wins that we can talk about, Brent.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So every Wednesday we have the new height segment, where we invite you and encourage you to come share your music related wins, so we can celebrate with you. So this is kind of where the party is each week. Michael McFarland says, "Finished building my dream guitar Monday, and I've already used it on demos of several awesome co-writes." And he put a picture of the guitar, and it's a beaut. So nice,
Nice.
Michael. Way to go. Let's see here.
Congrats.
We have Brad Mays. So you heard his name quite a bit on the show. He says he got a #1 ranking from Reverb Nation for Tokyo, Japan. Kind of like being a top dog at a cat show, but I'll take it. So,
That's right.
and that's
Hey, that's not Kalamazoo though.
that's
That's not
not.
number one
I
for
mean, Tokyo, they
smooth
got quite a few
jazz in
people there,
Kalamazoo. That's a big old city. So
and of
that's
course,
good news.
what song is it? Drip. So there we go.
Hello.
So the good stuff for Drip just keeps on coming. So that's one we did a song title challenge on way back when, and it's got honorable mentions at American Songwriter Lyric Contest, and apparently it's big in Japan. So rock on, Brad. Let's see here. We got let's see. Michael Roth has a new single out called For a Song. So congrats and good luck with that, Michael. Let's see. Patrick Adams heading up to the Yellowstone Songwriting Festival this weekend in Cody, Wyoming. Hope to learn and make some friends, some new connections, and celebrate with some old friends. Right on, climbers. So congrats, Patrick. And finish up, Bill O'Hanlon finished 269 songs for the year so far. Getting to hang out with Tom Douglas this Friday, playing around at the Commodore at 7, which is already passed by the time you hear this. Sorry. But congrats. Let's see. Congrats to Patrick and Michael and Bill and Brad and who else? Michael. So good job, guys. Keep on climbing.
I love it, man. What's Bill's goal again for the year? I forgot.
I think it's 3,582 songs for the year. No, I don't know. But uh more.
Yeah,
More.
he's just scratching that itch and
I
pumping
guess
it
so,
out. Love
man.
it.
He must need some lotion or something by this point. But
That's right. That's
rock
right.
on.
All right. So, hey, either follow or subscribe to the podcast, where depending on whatever platform you're on. If you don't have a platform that you're on for as a podcast player, then you can always find us at americansongwriter.com/podcast.
That's
That's real
right.
easy there. And finally, tell a friend about it. This is, listen, there's a lot of information that we give every week on this show to try to, help you win. This podcast exists because we want you to win. And if you're listening, if everybody's starved for time, if you're listening, we do not take that lightly. We understand that's a big deal, but you're not doing it to help us out, man. You're doing it to help yourself out, and which
Mhm.
is what it's designed to do. But tell somebody about it because maybe we can help them too, right?
That's right. And they'll appreciate you for it.
Exactly. So let's talk about audiences. Like, I want to
Mhm.
get a little deeper into, and this is in the context of the Facebook ads platform. I'm not talking about boosting,
Yeah, very different things.
which you can. It's very different, but it on the surface,
Mhm.
it looks very similar,
Yeah.
right? So your audience targeting is not as surgical on the boosting as
Mhm.
it would be on on the ads platform. You and I like boosting for one reason and one reason only. It's the gateway drug to the ads platform,
Right, yeah.
right? I
But
hope so.
oftentimes it's a turnoff, to be honest. I boosted and I kinda wasted my money.
Well, yeah, well, if you don't know what you're doing, yeah,
Yeah,
and
which is
and
me.
most people don't,
Right.
right? Most people don't. And part of the reason is even for some people that kind of starting to get their head around it a little bit, they're
Yeah.
getting a little savvy about it,
Mhm.
which excites me, because I want people to win. The boost is they start to get frustrated because they've kind of like mentally sort of outgrown that and they want it
Mhm.
to do more things, but it doesn't. And then the ads platform just looks so nefarious. It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah, it's intimidating.
this is intimidating. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, and listen, it's sophisticated. It's not rocket science. It's sophisticated.
Mhm.
But it's not anything it's not any more difficult than music theory. Um,
But music theory is fun, Johnny. Maybe.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. But what I want to talk about is the the power of audiences, right? And how we kind of choose audiences for our clients because that's the difference between winning and not winning. I mean, there's a lot more to it. This is one component of it, but and Brent, you have a lot of input on this too because we've gone down this road with
Mhm.
Songwriting Pro, right? With
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
different sort of what are some of we get into other ways to thinking about audiences.
Yeah.
So there's nuance to it. I think when if you're not on the Facebook ads platform, you should be.
Mhm.
And let's go up even higher than that. Let's go up to instead of 30,000 feet, let's go up to 50,000 feet. If you don't have a promo budget
Mhm.
and you're trying to be an artist, you need a promo budget. I
Yeah.
mean, let's just start there. Good art does not find its own audience. It just doesn't. If that was the case, record labels would never need a promo department.
Right, they put everything into making the record, and then
Just put it out there in the ether, and then it's going to go find its own audience, right? Like,
exactly.
yeah, no, that's not what happens. The artists say that because in their world, that's what happens. I was just
Right.
some, Okie from Muskogee, and then, I put out this song. I got a record deal. I put out this song, and then everybody loved me. So, you know what? When you do it right, the people will find you. No, that
Right.
label worked hard for them to find you. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's go back down to 30,000 feet. I'm assuming that you know this, okay, that you have a promo budget and that you're not spending all of your precious resources trying to grow this business of yours, and it is a business,
Mhm.
uh, with hope as your marketing plan.
Right.
Okay. That doesn't work. And I hope that you're not spending all the money just making the product. I don't care what the product is. Listen, in the music industry, you got it harder because it, I'll rephrase that. It's easier with a really good product
Mhm.
to do this, right? You still need these audiences. You still have to get that product in front of you. If you have the world's greatest product that will change the world forever, and uh, everybody would want it in this target audience or whatever, it would just be like a no brainer, right?
Mhm.
Um, God bless, but you're not going to sell any of them unless they know about it, right?
Right.
But with a really good product and a really good ad for that product, man, 10 seconds in, you're like, already you understand what it is, what it does, what it means to you, and now you're just waiting for him to tell you the price, right? So
Yeah.
you can figure out if the juice is worth the squeeze or not, if you're
Mhm.
going to do it. Um, so with a really good product, you can have instantaneous profitability with an ad campaign in a targeted audience because it has a deep-rooted fundamental value in society. People understand it, and they can make a decision. It's not the case with art. Like, they're not going to start paying that money and sort of getting on board until enough people are there, until there's enough of a party, and then it sort of takes on, like, a critical mass. Like, and I mean, microcosm's a critical mass. Like, if
Mhm.
you've heard critical mass in terms of radio promotion, we're talking about, when Nirvana went from selling 300,000 records in the same album cycle to selling 10 million, that's
Yeah.
when it blew up and hit critical mass. But there's microcosms of that happen along the line in digital, and audiences are a big piece of it. So when we're choosing the right audiences, we are we can make miracles happen. Like we with Jacob Cade,
Mhm.
he does an opening slot down in
Was it Scottsdale?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mhm.
Yeah, opening up for Dokken, right? And he's the opener, not the support act. So he goes
Mm.
on at 8, support act goes on at 10, then the headliner, right? Or support act goes on, he goes on at 8, support act goes on at like whatever, 9:15 then,
Yeah.
and then the headliner. Um, and we got this is now we were doing radio with him, rock radio, but
Mhm.
we didn't break into the Phoenix radio market.
Mhm.
So he had
So
0 spins there.
he's a ghost on radio in Scottsdale.
Ghost in the radio, ghost in the market, never been in the market.
Right.
400 people show up. We spent $200 promoting that, and 400 people showed up and did that. How do we do that?
And
How
this
do we
is
make that happen?
unusual. Let's just put a pin on this though. This is unusual because how many people are gonna bother to show up early for the opener, for the act? Right?
Right.
That's the thing, is that normally it's like, well, it was Dawkins. Yeah, but people aren't gonna show up 2 hours early to see Doc,
No.
right? They wanna see Dawkins, and some people wanna see the opener, the support act. He's even earlier. So to push people there that earlier, it got some people's attention. This is not normal.
That is thank you, and that is a direct result of the marketing, which was, 2 components put together, right? We spent $200 in the marketing, 400 people showed up, they made $200 in merch sales, offset the ad buy. I mean, total win, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much deeper than that because we had this opportunity that we went and we decided to exercise. Hey, we got this opportunity. Let's go take it. Let's walk through that door. That's what we did. um, we did something different than any other artist would do. And the reality was that we ended up out promoting the promoter because not only were they Dokken fans, and that's certainly, I mean, you bring up a good point. That was the angle that we took, right? Different
Mhm.
than what maybe you're going to think as an artist in terms of how to target that marketing. Um, so it had to do with the creative that we had, which was a minute of video footage of my artist in front of a sold out crowd
Being a rock
doing
star.
being a rock star. Look
Yeah.
at how freaking much fun this is going to be.
Mhm.
Okay. Tickets were $60. So I know I'm not, it's an opening slot. You never heard of this artist. He's a ghost. We're not going to get you to come out there. I would have had a different plan for language copy, like, and I'm talking about like copywriting on the ad language
Mhm.
I would use, where one of the sold out shows we had was he opened up for the footage we had was from open up for Steel Panther, 3,600 people at the Fillmore in Denver, which is where the artist is from. Okay.
Mhm.
But the other one was sold out, opened up for a band called Red, and it was in Spokane, which was like our number 1 radio market. So opposite of Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
That's where we got the most spins. We were still we were direct support on that act, but we had now this is me pulling a number out of my butt. I don't really know this for sure, but I'm betting we probably had 15% of the butts and seats were tickets sold because of the single we had on that radio, and it was in rotation,
Mhm.
enough of a rotation that was our number 1 market.
And
So
the whole thing about radio is like that's a point to point out. You don't know.
right.
Radio,
So
I don't know how many people showed up because it was on the radio. I don't know who they are. I don't know really
exactly.
if they bought tickets to see Jacob. We're assuming because we don't
Right.
know with radio. Anyway.
Well, exactly. We don't know. But I know we're getting spent. So I might even test an ad up in that market to say, hey, this guy, You know
Mhm.
this song, this guy's gonna be here, come and check it out, right? That might be different, but down in Scottsdale, the tickets are $60, man. That's a big ticket. You're not gonna spend that to go see somebody for the first time that you've never even heard their song,
Right.
right?
Not gonna happen.
So, we didn't use the call to action in the ad to say, "Buy your tickets here."
Mhm.
And most artists, like, when it comes to targeting, audiences and when it comes to ad copy, it's just so basic, that's why it fails, right? They're just like, "Oh, well, we need to sell tickets, so we should tell them that." And
Mhm.
then it's rock, so let's just target rock and press publish on
Yeah.
the ad. But no, 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 we need to go deeper than that? So, with him, I've got Dokken, fans of the band Dokken, because that's who the headliner is,
Yeah.
right? Now, Don Dokken, the lead singer of Dokken, is also a solo artist. And
Mhm.
so he happens to have another targetable audience within the Facebook ads platform. Probably not going to find this on the Boost ads platform.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're two different platforms. One's more sophisticated, it's got a lot more. It's like the difference between a go kart, with a whatever, like a 50cc engine and a Hemi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an 8-cylinder Hemi. Like it's just this badass.
Yeah.
So we targeted that. And then I targeted, okay, so I'm just thinking about the crowd. I'm thinking about the party. Like who's going to
Mhm.
show up? What other artists' audiences would also like Dokken, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I picked 7 hair bands and Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and I just sort of went down the hair band list of some big artists 50-mile radius of the club, and
Mhm.
we pushed the ad out. Okay. And the ad copy wasn't buy tickets. We just assumed you're a Dawkins fan. You're going to see the show.
Yeah.
So come early. That was the call to action. Don't miss this.
Yeah.
We want to meet you, right? So that was just the ad. So that was the difference. And that's what made that happen, right?
Mhm.
So and listen, it's great news. 400 people showed up. That was awesome. That's the headline, but the management from the headliner called us the next day and offered him the rest of the tour because we actually did sell tickets. I
Mhm.
didn't sell tickets for my artist though. I sold tickets for the headliner,
Yeah.
right? And so there's a situation where we used an ad and an audience group, not rock, but
Mhm.
very specific audiences that one of the other ways we got specific was so I'm a huge Dokken fan, but for one reason and one reason only, George Lynch, like the original guitar player,
Mhm.
who was not in the band at this point in time, right? He's
Yeah.
gone. Him and Don Dokken don't get along, but that's how that band started. And there's a huge association with George Lynch and with Dokken.
Mhm.
And also, George Lynch is from Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Right, so he's another target that I used as an audience, fans
Mhm.
of George Lynch, even though he's not on the bill. Now, you might be thinking as an artist when you're sort of a novice going through this, like, "Well, we can't use that because he's not gonna be at the show." We're not telling people George Lynch is gonna be at the show,
Right. Yeah.
right? This is just a target audience, and
Mhm.
this is where it kinda gets the nuance comes in. So, we're just saying, "Hey, man, like, if you're fans of George Lynch, you probably like Dokken,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they're in town, on this date, at this time, at this place, right?" So, the reason the headliner called us was because we did sell tickets, and we sold tickets to one of 2 categories of people. We sold tickets to, uh, people who maybe were touched by the promoter because 'cause they're gonna do stuff the same way, and, they put an ad in the local rag, they put an ad on the website of the club, they put an ad in the Facebook page of the club,
Mhm.
and you're not going to see any of those 3 things unless you specifically go to look,
Right.
right? Like, that's not going to interrupt your attention. The big attention interrupter ads come on the radio a week
Mhm.
before the show, but if you're not listening to the radio, you don't hear those ads. So some people do. So one of the categories was these are people that heard maybe an ad or 2, and either it went in one ear, not the other, because they weren't paying attention, and it kinda subconsciously stuck in there,
Mhm.
or they were thinking about it and they weren't sure, and then I put the cherry on top because I put this ad in their feed
Mhm.
where the promoter isn't. Okay. And with all this cool, like, oh well, crap, look at this guy. And okay, now let's just go. Let's go spend that money. We'll go see Dawkins. We'll go
Yeah.
see whoever that support act was. I don't remember who they were. And then we'll get there early and see this kid because this looks good, right? It's gonna be
Mhm.
a good night. And clearly the kid delivers, right? Because he sold $200 worth of merch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
Um,
not counting, the longer term effects of like how many people are going to go download his music, follow him, other stuff
Thank
down
you.
the road too. But hopefully you made, new fans, which sounds like you did long term.
Absolutely.
But even just
Absolutely.
that night,
Absolutely.
you broke even on the marketing.
Exactly. But then the other group of people that we sold tickets to, and this is probably the largest group, was Dawkins in town.
Yeah.
I love Dawkins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how do I not know about this?
Hmm.
Right? Or maybe it's not even they don't even have that thought. They're just like Dawkins in town, 4 tickets, Dungy, we'll go early. Like
Right.
love them. It's just that simple, right? So
Yeah.
we did sell tickets, a lot of tickets. And when the headliner sees that 400 people show up to see the opener before the support act, they reached out and offered him the rest of the tour. So this now we didn't take it because this was fly dates
Hmm.
and not bus dates. So it's like just skipping all around the country. And for what they're going to pay us to do that, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze financially.
Yeah.
But that's an at bat. That's a way to extend a tour. That's a way to
Hmm.
get in front of more eyeballs. They're going to love this kid. And it had to do with the ad that we ran and the audience that we used. So that's why I want to get into audiences here. I mean, how you determine the target audience for your ad is it can be very. I think where do you think most people go, Brent? Initially,
To,
like we need to find an audience. So what's the first line of defense?
I mean, they talk to people that are already their audience. That's the first thing. They just speak to people that are already following them or something, right? Which
Yeah.
is not growth. That's just people that are already there.
Well,
But
so
or
so
they might think radio, TV, that kind of stuff, right?
well, no, I'm talking about like targeting, right? So you're Matt Bailey,
Mhm.
my artist. Like he's country, right?
Yeah.
So people would be like country music.
Yeah, it'd be country, like, just go broad genre.
Yeah, they go broad genre, which is a broadcast platform methodology,
Yeah.
right? What's the radio station? Is it country or is it rock
Mhm.
or is it pop
Right.
or is it rap? Right? That's right. It's not like now. Does that radio station are they Keith Urban or Jay Z? You know what I mean? That's specific, right?
Right, yeah.
So with digital, you can have, and I recommend you test all this stuff, but you need to get sort of more niched down into the audiences, and you can have incredible results from your promo budget. Again,
Mm.
this is if you haven't gotten to the point where you have a promo budget, turn the freaking podcast off now. Like you need to get
Get
going,
that budget.
right? Get the budget. You need to have a promo budget.
See, and
Where do you spend? Go ahead.
so just thinking the point of this is, yeah, you can it's about being efficient so that the
Yeah,
money you spend, you get the most bang for your buck. This is not just for no reason. This is like, yeah, you need a budget, and these are ways to make your budget get the most results efficiently, not wasting your money. That's what this is
exactly.
about. This is why you want to target, because you're going to be a lot more efficient. Your ad dollars are going to go a lot further, and you're going to reach people that are actually excited to discover you as an artist a
Yes,
lot more
and
efficiently.
and there's
Don't
going to be
waste
some
money.
broad targeting. Country music should be maybe one of the targets, but that's like your top one, right?
Yeah.
Then there has to be other targets because there's subgenres of
I
country
mean, there are
music,
people
right?
that love uh, certain types of country music and
Mhm.
hate others. There are gonna be people that love Luke Bryan and they had no use for Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
They're gonna be
And there's gonna be people that love Luke Bryan. There's gonna be people that hate Luke
and
Bryan.
there's gonna be the opposite. People that love Chris Stapleton and gonna hate Luke Bryan. The irony being that Luke Bryan has cut Chris Stapleton songs. But anyway, there's gonna be
Yeah.
there's gonna be people that love Marion Morrison, can't stand Morgan Wallen, and vice versa. There are
And
all these
all
things.
those are under country music
Country.
umbrella,
Right.
right? So when you're targeting on your audiences, you don't want to target too broad,
Mhm.
but for that very reason that you're talking about. When you think about Universal promoting Luke Bryan, since you brought him up, the people that don't love Luke Bryan, and he's a huge superstar, the people that don't love him like are just as equally passionate about the people that do. They're not they're not like in the middle on Luke Bryan or what's the word I want to look for? They're not
Dispassionate.
apathetic.
Yeah, apathetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are passionately, they think he's the devil.
Right.
They think he ruined country music because he was kind of the where the crack started to show, and the way that some people like country, and it became this bro country thing, and he sort of
Yeah.
ushered that in, and the people who don't like that, and he's the poster child for it.
Right.
So, when just if we talk about promotion and broadcast promotion with radio, when Universal writes a $500,000 check to promote a Luke Bryan radio single, which is what they're gonna write
Mhm.
to get that to number 1, um, they're paying a lot of money to get their artists in front of people that they know don't like them.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, when you're Luke Bryan, the juice is worth the squeeze on that because
Right.
he's got so much revenue coming in, and they're reaching so many people who do like him that that doesn't matter. The irony here is that they use that exact same strategy at Universal and at Warner and at Sony and at just about every freaking record label on the planet for their new artists.
Yeah.
Now that becomes freaking expensive because
Yes.
the payoff isn't there, right? It's not they don't know the brand yet. So they should be developing the new artists on digital where you can be surgical before you put them on
Mhm.
radio, where it doesn't matter anymore because the cost of digital is so much more efficient, and you can it's easier to get that robust, crazy following that are just will lie down in traffic for an artist, and it can be based on not just the artist brand, but on a specific song, the
Oh, yeah.
content of a song, the lyrical content of a song, you know? So, different ways you can target audiences. We've done with the live show, we just talked about Jacob Cade, okay?
Mhm.
Another way is certainly with genre stuff. I mean, we talk about on this podcast, if you could go out on tour, you have to take off your artist hat and put on your label hat. If you could
Mhm.
go out on tour and you got a label hat and you just signed you as an artist, I don't want to know like what artists you love that would be like a dream come true for you to open
Mhm.
up for them as an artist because you've always dreamed as a little kid. And now, but no, 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 no. It you can't go from there. That could be part of the answer. That could also be the
Yeah.
cherry on top.
Right.
However, what we wanna target is who's the audience? Like, would that audience of the headliner love you?
Right.
Like, are they predisposed to liking what you would do if you got in front of them?
Mhm.
You know?
Are they
Um,
who's most likely to who has the fan base that is also most likely to open their wallet for you and your music?
Yeah, like, are you kind of in the same lane, in the same subgenre? Is that party there to see the headliner, the same kind of party that could become your consumer
Mhm.
too, that could become your fan? And that's where you wanna be, and the cool thing about digital is they raise their hands and they say, you know, if you're, a rapper that's kind of in the lane of Jay-Z, then guess what? You got millions of fans that have raised their hands and said, "I freaking love Jay-Z." So it's a very strong possibility I could love you too once I'm exposed to you
Mhm.
enough times, right? If you're an artist that's kind of like Chris Stapleton in country, and there's people that raise their hand, I love Chris Stapleton, and you can target them
Mhm.
from the ads platform as an audience and put your and interrupt their uh, attention with a paid ad
Mhm.
from the platform and saying, "Hey, if you like Chris Stapleton, you'll love this."
Mhm.
You know, by the way, not a bad opening line for the ad copy, is it?
It's a great opening ad line for that target.
Yeah. I mean, if you love this artist, then you'll love this right
Yeah.
here. You know, like you know, you can make up a magazine name. You know, Woo Pig Records says
Yeah.
this is our hottest up and coming record. You know, like I mean, you can say whatever you want. It's not you're not being disingenuous when you're comparing yourself to like a certain subgenre or
Yeah.
something like that, and you just give people a reference. Oh, I do like that. I'm going to click on that, watch it, right?
Mhm.
Um, so sometimes it can be the targeting that you're going to choose can, you know, this is what we're going to sort of go after for this genre. And the more specific the artists can be, the more niche that you're getting. So I talked about before with the targeting that we saw, and I did this by accident, but in retrospect, looking back and analyzing it, it was very, very surgically targeted.
Mhm.
But when I was working with Craig Curtis, excuse me, on uh, a
Haggard
song called
fan.
Haggard Fan.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was I'm gonna target Merle Haggard audiences. So that's I mean, think about the umbrella breakdown, the chunk down, right? That's
Mhm.
country music, outlaw country music, or no, sorry, country music, traditional country
Mhm.
music, right? Then country music, traditional country music, outlaw country music, traditional country music, outlawed country music, and Bakersfield
Mhm.
outlaw country music, which is, I mean, now in that just in that realm, we've got Merle Haggard, we've got Buck
Buck
Owens,
Owens, Dwight
we've got
Yoakam.
Dwight Yoakam. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's very, very, and those are hip, cool brands, right? And then we have Merle Haggard specifically because that song's called Haggard Fan.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So there they are. They're gonna like that song because of the title. Now that would I have that marketing if the song was called something else and it was kind of the same genre? That would be part of it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But the audience selection would be part of it. But this was so specific because of the name of the song that I'm just going to test right here with just the Haggard fans,
Yeah.
right?
One way to look at it too, even if it weren't called Haggard Fan, but if you look at your music and go, "Okay, if I didn't record this, who else might?" Like, is there
Mm,
another artist out there who could record this song and, like, honestly, like, it would also make sense with their brand, okay?
right.
'Cause, there are songs that, like, oh, Florida Georgia Line could cut, or, um, oh, what's his name? Thomas Rhett could cut, or, there more than one artist can often cut a type of song. And be honest with yourself about that, going, "You know what? Yeah, I do this kind of song, but you know what? George Strait could do this kind of song too." Great. You can do the same niching down on George Strait fans, not because you talk about George Strait in the song, or you reference him or whatever, but just because if you like George Strait, decent chance you'll like this. You can do the same
There you
kind of
go.
thing.
There you go. There you go. So, so you see what we're talking about? Like how you've really got the way with the same way we song title challenge the concept on a how to write a lyric on a title.
Mhm.
In the same way we video content challenge all these different kinds of video content we can come up with based on this song. You want to do the same creative exercise for the audiences
Mhm.
because there's other things that can help you really do amazing things, right?
Mhm.
With Lala Deaton, we had so this is an artist who it's a pop song. It's this beautiful pop song. It's very much come together, and she's not a political artist, but this was the song title was a political trigger word for a
Mhm.
specific
Group.
political group of
Yeah.
people. Okay, and we targeted that group,
Mhm.
right? Like, even though it's not a political song, I mean, it's not a political song in the way you think about like Bob Dylan having a political song
Like,
or
people that maybe
U2.
didn't, yeah, it's more kumbaya. People that don't
Yeah,
know that, just the uninitiated, the civilian, whatever, just hear it and go, "That's a come together kinda song."
it's a kumbaya kind of a thing.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Okay. But the title was for the people who are hardcore in that political, that title was like bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
bing, bing, bing. Okay. Rang all the
It's
bells.
like a password.
So
Right.
yeah, it's like a path. Exactly. So um in that instance, I'm looking at the song title, and that's also gonna affect my targeting,
Mhm.
right? So, it's a pop song, so I'm gonna start with pop music, but maybe I'm not, right? Because now I got some other reach that could happen here based on, hey, if I'm up somebody from this political group, and that is the password, and I understand the password, because it's a well done song,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not gonna give a crap about the genre so much,
You're right. Mhm.
right? And I'm gonna be exposed to it. Um, so there's a different angle, right? So that's like, again, very, very specific to the song.
Mhm.
But now I'm choosing my audiences differently,
Yeah.
right? Um,
There's
and
a
because
I think of, a buddy of mine, Jay Spate. He wrote this song called "Alla Freaking Bama."
there you
And,
go.
it's about this girl, and he's like, "Where you from?" She's from Alla freaking Bama, whatever. I think Trace Atkins ended up cutting it at one point. So congrats on that, Jay. Um, but you look at a song, so that song springs to mind. Okay, if you're an artist
Yeah,
on that, it's Alla freaking Bama. Who are you gonna target?
yeah,
Crimson Tide fans.
yep,
Doesn't have to do with genre. Now, that happened to be a country song, and so there's a lot of overlap there, but
Well, and the whole state of Alabama,
the whole
for
state of
sure.
Alabama.
Like, I don't care what genre you like. If you're in Alabama, you might wanna hear this song because 'cause you'd be prideful of it,
Oh, yeah.
and maybe that's not your normal cup of tea, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's not your norm the genre-wise, it's not
Right.
your normal cup of tea, but I'm gonna like this because this is about me,
It's
and
about
not
me.
for nothing, if you're targeting the state of Alabama in a situation like that, and this is a brilliant example, right? I'm thinking, I definitely wanna run a test just on the state of Alabama
Mhm.
and target that because what if you get some politicians in there?
Yeah.
What do you get some people who are, like, "You know what? This song is
Mhm.
perfect to promote this state."
Yeah.
And you get a sync fee on the state because it's just so specific, there's a possible opportunity there,
Mhm.
and if they see it in their feed and they like this, and they're gonna reach out and be like, "Hey," or you might get some gigs at a festival in Alabama or,
Tailgate parties and that kind of
my
stuff before
goodness.
football games or whatever. Yeah, there's
Yeah, yeah, man, be thinking about it like that, right? So, yeah, that's a really good
and,
example.
like, oh, the merch.
Yeah.
Oh, the merch.
Oh, yeah.
But that's another
That
thing.
just you just target Ala freaking Bama by itself with a T-shirt, and you probably make more than you would on the streams, right?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Because they're prideful about what? About being from
Well,
Alabama.
it's like when
Okay.
Chris Stapleton released, that song "Arkansas." Man, I've cranked that so many times, and I like Stapleton, but that's probably my favorite Stapleton song. Why? And he has
Well,
a lot
oh,
of great
same
ones
here.
because it's all about me. I'm tuned into, uh, WIIFM. WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's the station I'm tuned into, and he's if that song had been called Alabama, I wouldn't care about it nearly as much. Not
Yep.
that I hate
That's
Alabama,
right.
I just don't it's not my state.
I don't live there.
I don't live there,
Yep.
I'm not from there, but it's called Arkansas, so I'm like, "That's my favorite Chris Stapleton song."
That's right. That's right.
So how can we
That and
tap in to WIIFM? Who's
yeah,
tuning into that?
there okay, that's really the best way to put it. So, now let's talk about another ad campaign we did with, like, Curtis Brawley, where he this is a cover song
Mhm,
that he did. So Curtis Brawley is an out of the closet gay country music artist who grew up in Texas, right? And uh, the song was Mariah Carey's "Hero,"
mhm,
which this song quite literally saved this artist's life,
yeah,
saved Brawley's life. Um, he was in high school. He was one of the smaller kids in high school. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So definitely gonna be on the list of kids that's gonna get his ass kicked
yeah,
all the time just because he's small. But
yeah,
then you add in that he's gay,
right, yeah,
and everybody knew he was gay, and then I mean, and it's Texas, and oh my god, like,
yeah,
this
not
kid's life is hell in high school, and the day he's gonna end his life, he his this one teacher who just you saw the struggle that he was going through, and his teacher had it was an AV teacher, had a break in this teacher's lounge on this specific period, and would let Curtis go in and just be alone in the room where so he could escape the
mm,
hell that was outside that door,
man, that's rough,
the hell
yeah,
of high school. So Curtis decided he's going to take his own life, and this is this period that he goes to every single day. On this particular day, this is when he's going to write down figure out what he's going to say to his family because he's going to write a suicide note. And he wants some music in the background. He puts in that song, and thank God this has got to work here. That first song was Hero, and those lyrics just washed over him like, you've got to be responsible for your own happiness. It's not about what other people think. It's the hero inside is you. Like that's
mhm,
you have to take ownership of that. And that saved his life. So that's why he covered the song. Well, that's the story, right? So
yeah,
we decide, hey, music video is already done. Let's also film the interview with you explaining why you cut the song.
mhm,
And so we've got him up on a sound stage with 3 spotlights on him. It's just him, his face, and 4 minutes of him telling this story. And then we go into that song. So this is an 8-minute video
mhm,
piece of video content that we're promoting. And how are we going to target that audience wise? Well, certainly Mariah Carey fans.
mhm. I mean,
Now
you think
Curtis
of
is,
just on that, you think of something show up in your feed with the title Mariah Carey Saved My Life.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I like Mariah. Yeah, she's awesome. What's going on here? More
I want to
likely
hear
to
what's
click
going
on it
on.
than if I were to see, because I respect her, but I don't own any of her stuff. I'm not like a big Mariah Carey fan. Much
Right,
respect,
right.
but that's not gonna trip my trigger.
But the headline is "She Saved My Life" is now maybe I want to hear what the hell happened,
No,
right?
that does make me more interested, even just the save my life part makes me
Yeah,
more
yeah,
curious.
yeah. And so now the next thing is he's gay. This is not a secret with him. So LGBTQ, like, what
Uh-huh.
are some of the organizations that are built around that?
Yeah.
You know, and so that would be now I'm getting into audience targeting that has nothing to do with the genre of the music artist
Mhm.
whatsoever.
Right.
This has to do with, you know what, like in the same way that you're gonna target Ala freaking Bama towards people from Alabama because 'cause they're
Yeah.
prideful about being from
Mhm.
Alabama, I'm gonna target LGBTQ because this is a gay artist and they're prideful about being gay, and
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, "Hey, he's one of us,"
Yeah.
Alabama, you're one of us, I love New York, oh, you're one of us, like,
Mhm.
okay. So there's some camaraderie there, there's solidarity, I wanna tap into that, right? So we're definitely gonna go down that road. Well, the song is about the hero and you. Now, also, I know that when that particular song, it was attributed a lot to 9/11 and stuff, which is kind of poignant right now,
Mhm.
and first responders and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So we tried a little test audience there. Let's try that.
Mhm.
Okay, first responders, EMT, doctors, physicians, nurses, and all the subgenres I can target audience wise in there. We're going
Mhm.
down that road. um, but Curtis's version of this song, and so again, country artists. So I'm gonna have some genre targeting in there
Mhm.
for the kind of artists that he could open up for in the country genre. But for his specific interpretation, and that the reason he cut it was because it saved his life from it prevented him from committing suicide.
Yeah.
So now, even though this is not what the song lyric is about, and this is not what Mariah Carey's about, this is the reason he cut the song.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that becomes a valid target.
Mhm.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially since this piece of video content, not for nothing, starts with 4 minutes of him explaining how he almost took his own life and what saved him, and here's the song, and now watch the video,
Yeah.
right? So we targeted now I wanna go after, like, suicide prevention stuff.
Mhm.
I wanna,
Anti-bullying, that kinda stuff too. There's an intersection there.
yes.
Yeah.
See where we're going with this, guys? It's like, okay, outside the box thinking, but this is very germane to this specific piece of content for this specific artist. And yeah, anti-bullying, suicide prevention. And what are all the, you're Googling, what are all the different organizations that orbit around that are trying to help people? Because this guy's story is a story of certainly, I guess, in a way, David versus Goliath,
Mhm.
right? The depression, the fear, he overcomes that and comes into his own. It's just a human being,
Yeah.
okay? And gets past that. It is, and it's attributed to music and lyrics, which is cool, and inner strength. That makes so who are these organizations? These are people that interview can be transformative to somebody else,
Mhm.
right? And then, I mean, we even go out on like our biggest audience, like I should say, not our biggest audience, but the audience that responded the most to this was so my ex-wife is, and what I'm about to tell you, this is was not my ex-wife, okay, but there are people, there are lots of broken people on the planet that are
Mhm.
very, very, very broken, and these people try to do different they find themselves in sort of different areas, right, where they try to not be broken, right, or
Okay.
they try to not feel broken. Hollywood's one of those places.
Okay.
Okay? Music industry is too, entertainment across the board. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that going on, but, um, when my wife would when we would throw parties, like, for a crew or something like that would come over, I mean, there are definitely an abundance of people who seem to fill that void that they have from being broken with being like adjacent to fame,
Yeah.
right? That's very, very important to them. And uh, and it's dark there. I mean, like it's emotionally dark,
Yeah.
man. And I targeted I straight up targeted, like, production companies and all this kinda stuff because 'cause I'm like, "These people can relate to this song, you know,
Yeah.
they need to hear this song." And that did really well for us. That's like an outside of the box audience that I'm targeting that has nothing to do with country music, which is the genre that the artist is in,
Mhm.
nothing to do with Mariah Carey, which is the song that he covered, nothing to do with the lyric of the song, but everything to do with the reason behind the why the artist did it.
Yeah.
And and because that content was part of because that story was in the content, I should say,
Yeah.
that works. You know what I mean? So then we'll cover one more thing and we'll wrap it up. Like this festival for Denmark.
Mhm.
We've got how would you market that? Like just what audiences would you choose, right? So certainly songwriters is the Nashville Nights International Songwriting
Mhm.
Festival. Um, you're certainly going to indie artists and songwriters are going to be the target without a doubt, and then the specific artists, right? And
Mhm.
what genres, what subgenres are they in, and can we get in there? Are there song specific songwriters that are targeted, are that are targetable, I should
Mhm.
say, on Facebook? Okay, and that's going to be really hit and miss. Going to be difficult unless they're also probably an artist
Yeah.
too. Um, but most of the European festivals been canceled
Mhm.
because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So right there, that's some ad copy stuff that we certainly used,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Like, hey, but all these festivals been canceled, but we're still open for business.
Yeah.
So if you love to go to festivals, that's there. But even without the COVID thing, uh, I started just clicking in festival
Mhm.
in the audience section in Facebook on the ads platform. And it starts spitting out like all these festivals, right? It'll do the search for you in
Mhm.
terms of what's targetable on Facebook as an audience and what's not targetable. And so a festival pops up. What's that? Now, sometimes, and Facebook's weird. It's like, as a very, very broad generalization, if it's targetable, it's a bigger thing, right?
Mhm.
But then sometimes you have the hugest thing on the planet that you know has a huge audience and it's not targetable on Facebook. And sometimes the most niche random
Yeah.
thing is targetable, you know? And I don't know how they determine that, but um it's just, you know, sometimes the thing you want isn't there, and then there's these other things. So it pulls up all these festivals. So I'm gonna go Google the festival. This is a European music festival. Awesome.
Mhm.
That's in, you know?
Yeah.
Because I wanna target people that go to festivals
Yeah.
too, that these are people that spend money, that like to go to festivals and be in that experience. Why wouldn't I target that? You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, in terms of you as an artist, you know, maybe you got a festival gig, one festival gig,
Mhm.
right, for the Wisconsin State Fair.
Mhm.
And you're on the bill. Okay, well, here's how I'm gonna target that, right? That's definitely gonna be a component of that.
Mhm.
And if you are, you know, what's the situation? So let's just kind of wrap it up. When you're using target audiences, we need to go more than just the genre. We need to go into the subgenres and we
Mhm.
need to go into the different artists, right? So you want to target the subgenre and you also want to target the artists within that subgenre. Okay. And remember that when we're talking about genres or subgenres, we like to say the words, you know, who do you sound like? But it's not about sonics. That's the other big mistake I see artists make. They're like, well, I don't know if I really sound like this person or that. But no, no, no. And of course, if you're fancy yourself as an artist, you're never going to agree
You're right.
that you sound like anybody. But the question is, who's going to show up at that party,
Mhm.
right? Like, what's the culture like of the audience, and would that culture like you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that's step one. But also, it can be song title. It can be about what the lyric of the song is about. In the case of Haggard fan with the song title,
Mhm.
or in the case of, you know, if you've got a country song about pickup truck, maybe I'm gonna target some pickup truck owners.
Mhm.
That's broader than the genre,
Yeah.
right? That's broader than that, where they're going to come on to it, or Alfric Bama.
Yeah.
You know, hey, maybe this person never listens to country music and you're a country artist, but they're from Alabama and they're going to love it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because of the name of the song,
That's right.
or the lyrical content. Sometimes it's about the intent. You can target based on the intent, as long as the intent is clear in the creative,
Yeah.
right? In the piece of video content that you're pushing. Like, okay, if it was just the music video that we're pushing, might not have gone the suicide route with Curtis Brawley. I might not have made that a targetable audience.
Right.
But because we thought the story of why he did it was so compelling, and because we shot that, and because that was part that preceded the music video,
That made it relevant
now
to that audience.
that makes it relevant,
Yeah.
right? And made it very
Overtly
powerful.
relevant. Yeah.
Right. So here we're not, this is not the genre of the original artist that cut it. It's not the genre of the artist that recut it. It's not anything to do. That song's not about suicide.
Yeah.
But those words spoke to him. So it's the intent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's a specific situation, like we did with Jacob Cater with this songwriting festival, right? Where, hey, we're opening for this person here, so definitely going to target like this person's audience, and then all the bigger artists that orbit around that audience, and or these are festivals, and so I'm going to target all these festivals and use that as a target, and then we can work from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to kind of just dig in it, get you thinking about audiences differently. You need to be promoting, you need to be doing digital marketing with your promotion. That's where your money's going to be best spent. And when you do it on the ads platform as opposed to a boost, and there's a difference, you're going to get the data on that, right? And then I think we'll do a show later on too, just about like optimizing audiences and stuff,
Yeah.
because that's like crazy, wicked powerful. But be thinking about it that way, guys. There's lots of different things. Could be the lyric, could be the artist, could be the genre, could be the subgenre, could be the event, could be the intent behind the song that the artist had. All these things factor in. It can make you creatively find places to connect people to that song. So,
and it's not
anyway,
either or, it's yes and.
Yes, exactly. It's yes and maybe like if you've got a decent enough budget, you're gonna maybe test them separately.
Yeah.
Just to really see before you put them together in a big audience. And that's some more digital marketing stuff we'll get into later. But let's just start with the audiences, guys. So anyway, that brings us to the end of another Killer C.L.I.M.B episode. Join the C.L.I.M B community. Make sure that you follow or subscribe to the podcast. Tell a friend about it. We're here to help. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you in our news feed, because you're going to show up there because we're going to love your music. And we'll see you.